Hi guys, this is R.A. Sweeney here to talk through some more of what I've been writing in the book Praying with the Writings as part of the Praying with the Bible series. Today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Nehemiah chapter 2. There's a quick little it's not even a prayer necessarily. It says that Nehemiah prayed in verse 4. So it doesn't even show us a prayer, it just mentions that it happened, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So to give the context on this passage, Nehemiah was the cupbearer for the king. So he would have, brought the cup of wine to the king and kind of held it for him. There's a good chance that he was taste testing that to make sure it wasn't poisoned. But he's right there with the king all the time, kind of just, like the water boy for the king. And when you're in the king, you're supposed to be happy to be there, and he was pretty upset because he'd received news that Jerusalem was not doing well. So the city didn't have its walls, the people weren't being real faithful, and I actually talked about this in an earlier um, study that I had written on Nehemiah. That he started praying about it because he was just torn up inside. He was grieved that this was going on. And if you read Nehemiah and you're not paying real close attention, you're just like, okay, well, he heard the news, he was upset, and then prayed about it a little bit, and then went to the king to talk to him about it. But it was a long time in between when he started praying and when he went back to the king. There's some time markers in there, and it took him a while before this interaction happened. So he'd been praying on this for a long time. And so he's just kind of downcast in front of the king. He's sad, maybe kind of sighing a little bit, although I don't know that I'd be sighing in that situation because it'd be offensive to the king, but he's visibly upset. And so then the king, he's like, hey, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? Which you don't want to hear that if you're in that situation. That means, hey, you've upset the king, and he can do whatever he wants at that point. He's the most powerful person in the world at that point in time, so he can do whatever he wants to you just for being upset. Um, and so in verse 4 here, if you just read verse 4, the king says, what do you want? Which, I don't know. I think there's a way that maybe that could be good, but at the same time, that could be very terrifying. And so Nehemiah, writing in first person, he's like, so I prayed to God. I prayed to the God of the heavens, I think is what it says. But it doesn't say what he prayed. You can't imagine he had a lot of time. It's not like he was like, oh, well, hold on a second. I'm going to run over here to my prayer closet and, spend half an hour in prayer before, you can't imagine that it was, anything real eloquent or anything. It was probably just like a gulp. God, please don't let him kill me. Or God, please, be with me through this. It's just that real quick prayer before he has to respond. And so it has to be something that was quick enough that the king's not wondering, like, what are you doing? Why aren't you answering me? So it had to just be this real quick little prayer, which I thought is great because we are in these sorts of situations all the time. I mean, I've never stood in front of a king that is offended and potentially going to execute me, but I have been in situations where things aren't going my way, or where I'm nervous about something, or where something comes up, and I need that quick little prayer where I don't have time to stop and go pray about something, where I'm in a situation. It's just like, God, I need your help. I can think of just this summer, a situation where we were responding to an emergency at work, and there was a lot of people depending on quick action, and I just needed to stop for a second, just that real quick little prayer of like, God, I need your help. Please help me get through this. And we did. And so I think there's a lot of value in this. And I think that the big thing for me is I think this needs to be our knee jerk reaction rather than panic, rather than, spinning out of control or panic or anything. When we get to that moment of just, I don't know what to do, a quick prayer. Just a quick little, God, I need some help. Please be with me. Or God, please don't let this go bad. Or God, I need this, God that. But just a quick little reach out to Him rather than to anything else, I think is really the biggest takeaway from this passage. The other thing that I thought was cool is it made me think of Matthew chapter 10, where he's talking about how his apostles and disciples are going to be going and sharing testimony of who he is throughout the nations. He said, when you're standing in front of governors and kings and things like that. Don't worry about what you're going to say. I'm going to give that to you. And that's exactly what happened here. Nehemiah just, hey, God, I need you to help me here. And then God gave him the things to say, granted him favor in the king's eyes, and everything worked out really, really well. But it all hinged around this tiny, tiny little half of a verse that says that he did pray. We don't even know what he prayed, but just this quick little, God, need some help, please help me sort of thing. So that was really encouraging to me. That's what I wanted to encourage you guys with, is just, in those quick moments where we need a little help, just that quick, hey, God, please be with me, or God, help me, or God, rescue me, or whatever the case may be, are powerful little prayers. So that's what I wrote about for Nehemiah chapter 2 for the book Praying with the Writings. I hope it was a blessing. Stay tuned, and we will keep working through the book of Nehemiah and the rest of the writings. Thanks, guys.